Welcome to the Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs podcast, a place for podcasters to learn what's actually working in the world of podcasting and how to use their podcast to generate consistent leads in their business. I'm your host, Jenny, and I'm so excited you're here. Hey, Savvies, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm super excited that you're here and can't wait to jump into today's episode. So in today's episode, we're going to be addressing the frequently asked question of how often should I have guests on my show? So if you're a completely solo show and don't plan to ever have guests on your podcast, then you can just skip this episode. But if you currently have guests or are planning to bring them on in the future, then you might want to listen in. So I really don't think there's a right or wrong answer here, as usual. But I do think it is important to at least have one solo episode per month. Because sure, you can showcase your expertise in guest episodes, but the real magic is in your solo episodes because you want to make sure that you let your guests shine in their episode and you don't try to be the star of the show there. So that's where solo episodes give you the opportunity to showcase you and what you're all about and, really shine there. So personally, I think as long as you're able to have at least one solo episode per month, you can do as many guest episodes as you please. I personally like to do one guest, one solo, one guest, one solo for like a mixed guest / solo show. For this show, as you know, I only do a couple of guests per quarter, but I actually used to do every other episode was a guest in the past. But I just haven't had time to do as many guest interviews recently. So whatever feels best for you and whatever you can truly commit to doing, then do that. Because I want you to just always have your podcast as a fun place that you want to show up for each and every week. So I always advise you to do what feels good for you and what makes you feel completely lit up by your show and something that you're going to be able to be consistent with and always be able to commit to. So that is my kind of short answer on that. And I think as long as you're doing, if you have a show and you do one guest episode a month, that's totally fine. If you have a show and you do 2 a month, that's fine. If you do 3 guests and 1 solo, that's fine. I just think as long as you're doing 1 solo a month, then you're golden, basically. So tell me, how often do you have guests on your show? Make sure to send me a DM over on @podcasting for entrepreneurs so we can chat about it. It's always so great hearing from you guys and getting a better idea who is actually tuning into the show. Because unfortunately, as you know, with podcast analytics, you can't really see that much. All you can see is where someone's listening from in the world and what app they're listening on. And that's pretty much the gist of it, unless, we connect on email or via DM. So I'd love to hear from you. My handle is, once again, Podcasting for Entrepreneurs. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you over there. But if you want to check out the show notes for this week's episode, you can find them at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com. And I will see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher and leave a review. You can find us at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com and on Facebook at Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs and Instagram at Savvy Podcasting. Make sure to join our free Facebook community for podcasters by going to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com/community and join in on the exclusive community just for Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs listeners. I'll see you there.